All right, guys, here is your lesson on the application that's on your graphing calculator to solve for roots of polynomials. So if we take a look here, I have these two functions that are over here. I have f of x and I have g of x. And here I have my graphing calculator. So what I want to do is I want to use the app that's on your graphing calculator that I call Polysmelt. So if you click the apps button here, and you'll see number 4 is Polysmelt 2. So I'll click on number 4. If you click enter, because it says press any key. Number 1 is the polynomial root finder. So we're going to click number 1. So here's where we have things that we need to change up a little bit. So the order is the degree of the polynomial. So looking at f of x, the degree of that polynomial is 3. So I am going to arrow over to 3 and hit enter. Your calculator will either give you real number values. We know from last week's lesson that this is what complex numbers look like, or it can give us something else that we won't really chat about too much. So we can either choose real or complex numbers down here. So we can scroll down and over. So real or complex numbers here. We can have it give us our answer in a decimal or a fraction. We want it to give us a normal answer and nothing in scientific notation. We want the decimal to float, and we always want an answer in degree mode because we haven't really talked about radians quite yet. So if you look at your screen here, the word main is above this y equals, and the word next is above the word graph. So I'm going to click on graph, and now I can go ahead and type in my coefficients. So if you look here, the thing that's paired with x cubed is going to be this a3 value right here. So I'm going to go ahead and type in 1 because that is my first coefficient. Then I can come down and I can type in 4 because that is the coefficient that's paired with x squared. I can come down and type in -5. And note that I use the negative button and not the subtraction button here. And then I can come down and my constant is +5. So again, I have all of these main, mode, clear, load, and solve, and they're all nicely placed above these buttons over here. So I'm going to click the solve button. And it looks like this polynomial has one root and it's at -5.1. We'll call it -5.16. So I just found the roots of the first polynomial, f of x. I can hit second quit to get out of this. And now I can go ahead and I can figure out what the roots are here of g of x. So I'll go back into apps, so we can do another example here, down to 4. And I just want to note that when you buy your calculator, these are the applications that it comes with standard. So when you take the SAT or when you take any AP exams or when you take any sort of exams where they may sort of clear your calculator or they're nervous about you plugging in, coding your own calculator, so they erase the RAM. These are the things that will always stay. So you'll always have access to Polysmelt. For those of you that are taking the SAT or the ACT, this is an application that you're allowed to use on both of those exams. So don't worry that you won't be able to solve when you get to those sort of standardized tests that help you get into college. So after that little side note, I want to hit number 4, which will bring me to Polysmelt. It's the polynomial root finder and equation solver. Here it says press any key, so I just like to hit enter. I'm going with the root finder, so I'll hit enter again. And again, the degree of my polynomial is something that's cubed, so the order is 3. You'll notice that my order goes all the way up to 10 and all the way down to 1, so this will also solve quadratic equations, so that's just something to keep in mind. So let's come down here. We want real answers. Let's say we want our answers in decimal form instead of fraction form. We want normal answers. We want our decimal point to float and we want them to be in a degree. So we'll hit next. and my coefficient that's paired with x cubed is 5. Here's what we have to remember. My coefficient, see how this a2, it's a2x squared. My coefficient that's paired with x squared over here, there is no x squared, so it's really important that we plug in 0. My linear coefficient is 6, and my constant is here at 8. So I'm going to click solve, which is located above the graph button. And here I get that there's only one root. And if you look over here, we can actually go from fraction to decimal or decimal to fraction. This one's not quite doing that for me. But it looks like that's an option down here. So negative 0.839787713. That's going to be the root for this polynomial. So remember, it could potentially have a maximum of 3 roots, but in this case, this one looks like it only has 1. So go ahead and practice. I uploaded some practice for you to work on, and I also uploaded an answer key for you to practice with your graphing calculator, so solving and finding those roots.